I've got some breaking news coming right out of the 24-hour news cycle right here. There is new information showing that NATO troops have been used in territorial takeovers between the Russians and the Ukrainians in the newest war. We have seen some videos of this. It looks like it's not a GoPro, but it's something very close to it. It's probably their helmet camera. And what we're starting to see now is Russia very peed off, very ready to go to war with NATO. And then you have these propaganda pieces come out showing that NATO, and this is a Western media outlet, says NATO is prepared to deliver a swift and a severe response. This will happen as Russia uses the Ukrainian war and the Iranian conflict to bring new takeover requests across the world. They say if Iran goes ahead with a plan that will send hundreds of satellite-guided close-range ballistic missiles to Russia that will then be used in the Ukrainian conflict, NATO is prepared and readying a swift and severe response. Dozens of Russian military personnel are being trained right now to use what's it's the Faith 360. It's a close-range ballistic missile system. European intelligence sources say that the imminent delivery of these hundreds of satellite-guided weapons into Russia for the war in Ukraine represents a stress and an event that NATO must respond to. They say the G7 partners and all NATO allies are prepared to move forward with an attack. Now, when this happens, if NATO gets directly involved in this war with Russia, all bets are off. Everything that I've told you so far has a new way of looking at it. We must get the things that we need to be ready. The Russian Defense Ministry representative, or the spokesperson, has already signed the contract. This happened in Tehran with Iranian officials. They're going to send thousands, possibly, of Fath 360 and other ballistic missile systems. This is part of Iran's government-owned aerospace industrial organization. It's called Ababil. Now, we should have knocked this out a long time ago, according to Western intelligence. We had the opportunity, but because of the government officials that were in office at the time and the deals that were being made, we have now allowed Iran to become a nuclear weaponized power. We have allowed Iran to build up a huge infrastructure for weapon making. They're making tons of money. They're getting tons of money from America. They're getting all of this happenings, and when all is said and done, they will bring destruction to the Middle East. Now, Iran's permanent mission to the U.S. or the United Nations in New York said a statement showing a long-term strategic partnership in Russia. This includes military cooperation. They say from an ethical standpoint, Iran won't transfer any weapons or missiles that could be used until the Ukrainian conflict is over. So what happens is this is script writing, right? You had America give all this weapons, sends all these weapons over to Ukraine, and they said, you cannot send them, you can't send these long-range missiles into Russia, you can't use these weapons except for in self-defense of your homeland, you can't do any of this. And then time went by and people got stupid and everybody said, hey, you know what? They need to be able to use these. And everybody forgot that the whole guise of them sending these weapons over was that they couldn't be used in this war. Script writing 101. This is Iran running that propaganda machine doing the exact same thing. The training, they say, is standard practice, and they must train Russian soldiers on Iranian weapons that will be used in Iran. Officials who requested anonymity said that Iran has sold hundreds of these. There's no legal prohibition that doesn't allow, of course, except the USA saying it's not allowed to happen. As ballistic threats go, according to an assessment, they could be intercepted reliably by the upper end, the high-tech version of the Ukrainian systems, such as the US-made Patriot system, the European SAMP system. The NSC spokesperson noted that Iran's new president wants to moderate all of the weaponization of the wars that are going on, and they say that this is Iran, saying that we will bring a new era of Iranian superpower to the world. The UN Security Council restriction of Iranian exports, well, I won't even read that. Doesn't mean anything. Let's get to some other breaking news, some things that are happening. We have 25% of people trying to sell their home receiving a price cut in the month of June. That was when things were still reported to be good. Remember the news agencies, the realtors, everybody, they were like, things are great out here in the environment. It's good. You can still sell your home for 800 times the price that it should be. Don't worry. Your $60,000 piece of junk home with boarded up windows and septic leaking into the house, definitely worth $350,000. Now they're saying that even back then, when they were telling you that BS, 25% of the people, a quarter of all the houses being sold, had to have a price cut. This was the first time the highest rate was reached for the records dating back to the 2000s. Commercial property foreclosures are on the rise. 12 to 15% of credit card balances in the USA. This should get you. This should show you, without a doubt, where we are at in this economic crisis. Up to 15% of every credit card balance. Do you hold a credit card? Do you know people who do? Do you maybe have friends and family who hold a balance? 15%. What does that come out to? That's like 1/6 of everybody in the country has a credit card balance that's over 90 days past due. This is one of the highest rates ever seen. Now, what this means for the rest of the world is that banks are going to tighten their ship. They're going to cut their losses. They're going to raise the rates even more, interest rates. They're going to cut the availability of credit to other people. But at the end of the day, banks are going to start going under. I was just talking last night around the fire with some group members, and we were talking about what it really takes for America to get back on track and the road to destruction that that's going to lead us to, from the complete economic collapse to maybe even a civil war, definitely civil unrest, and the involvement in a world war. We're going to have each one of these things to ramp up production, to bring back nationalization, to get collectively mad at enemies that aren't each other inside of the USA, unless that civil war really breaks out. Those are the steps that it's going to take. And the people in power, the people who run this world, the puppet masters, they know that. And so what they're doing, now imagine you knew your business was going to close in 6 months, right? But you could still make money off of it today. You knew it was going to close in 6 months. What would you do? Would you tell all the employees, hey, it's time to start looking for a new job? Now, I'm not talking about you. You might be a moral individual and you might have feelings and empathy for people. I'm talking about the average American corporation owner. Not little guys. I'm talking about Walmart. They would soak every dollar that they can, bleed every hour from every poor individual that they could, until everybody shows up for work on the 7th month and the doors are locked with a sign up on the front that says, sorry, we're closed. That's how this economy is being operated. That's how this government is being operated collectively. Doesn't matter what side you're on, left or right. That's how they both operate this world. You will wake up one day and they'll say, oops, we're closed. And then all hell begins to break loose. Putin has said that Ukraine just crossed a red line. Putin claims that the Ukrainian incursion into Russia's territory, the Kursk region, is a provocation that was allowed to take place by NATO. They said the regime launched a major provocation, indiscriminately shelling civilian targets, seen now by Russia as an act of aggression and a blatant violation of international law. This is an attack on the peace and security of the Russian country. Now, here's why you need to think about those words. Russia, every time, has said they will not use nukes until Russia is threatened as a territory, their sovereignty. So now we have NATO, the breaking headline at the beginning of this broadcast, saying that they're going to take on Russia. Now we have NATO saying they're going to take on Iran. And here we have Russia explicitly calling what is happening an attack on the peace and the security of our nation, as they speak of Russia. Now, this is a region that borders Ukraine. It's known for agricultural significance. It has huge historical importance. But Russia will not F around. What we're doing on the other side is we're effing around, and we're about to find out. Homelessness in the USA, because they tell you it's fine, is the highest ever on record. Homelessness. Now, I'm talking about people who don't have an electric bill and a lease agreement or a mortgage. That's considered homeless, right? Or they're not, staying with family. Even that might be considered homeless according to the data. You guys tell me in the comments, is that considered, if you have a 35-year-old male staying with his mom and dad, is he in the data considered homeless? I'm sure he could be construed to be homeless, but is he? So homelessness in the USA, highest ever on record for the longest ever on record. In 2024, homeless shelters and homeless services have seen an uptick of people with 1 to 2 jobs that cannot get a place to stay. They have no secure shelter. They're living in their cars. Arab forces have begun capturing Syrian oil fields from the Americans. We see these tribal forces from Syria capturing 81.2 square kilometers in their offensive at the time of the reporting. The USA began their airstrikes in panic mode, and the world continues to burn. Guys, every day we're bringing you information from America and from around the world, along with some tips and pointers on how to get ready. My tip for you today is learn how to filter your water. That's one of the most important things you will ever need. If my suggestion is anything, don't buy it from me. Don't buy it from anyone online. Go to Walmart, go to Amazon, whatever, and go get a Sawyer Mini water filter. Sorry, it looks like the powers that be didn't want this recording to continue, and I had some sort of EMP attack on the camera. What we have with Sawyer Mini water filters is 100,000 gallons of water that you can filter. Now, the only risk there is that it's going to freeze if you put it in freezing conditions, and you have to backwash it if you get it clogged with things. But that's my prep tip for you today. Go get a Sawyer Mini. They used to be $19.99, but now with inflation, they're probably $45. Who knows? But I think realistically, they're around $25. They are worth their weight in gold. You will use them, and you need that type of filter. Now, if you like Life Straw instead, or you like some other brand, I don't care. Get a way to filter water. You're going to need it, and you don't want your family crapping their brains out, not being able to operate. You don't want your group members not being able to keep watch because all they're doing is pooping their brains out. You need water, and you need a lot more than you think. So, prep tip for the day, find a way to get water filtered. Look up pre-filtering options. Use a t-shirt, use some socks, I don't care. Use whatever. Don't clog that filter up. From my family to yours, please stay safe, everyone. Check back tomorrow for more information from America and from around the world. And good luck.